and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Susan Kilday, and I'm a yoga therapist at Life with Cancer. And today we're going to discuss yoga for bone health. Bone health is really about maintaining bone density so that we can continue to maintain quality of life throughout our lifespan and avoid injury. Not only do we lose density as we age, but sometimes our medications and life experiences can contribute to bone loss as well. Research tells us that the best recipe for maintaining healthy bones is weight-bearing exercise, which is simply mechanical loading both through muscle and bone strengthening. Now, yoga plays into this as another means of exercise, but like other fitness exercises, yoga postures can be weight-bearing too. We just don't really think about it that way. But what I like to think of as being especially unique with yoga is this additional practice of awareness. So we're not just doing an exercise. It's not what we're doing or how many we're doing it. It's how we feel on the inside as we do it. Just not only physically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. And this is called interoception. Increasing awareness of our inner landscape in the moment allows us to improve our self-regulation and thus build resilience over time. So incorporating this in your daily life is always challenging. Let's face it, strength training can be uncomfortable until we build up a little bit of strength. But a strong body encourages a strong mind, which reinforces yoga's goal of mind-body balance. So I always hear time is an issue, right? It is for most of us, and it is quite frankly the biggest contributor toward avoidance. So how can we find a way to incorporate bone health exercises in our normal routine? We absolutely can. And today I'd like to share with you one of my not so favorite poses that involves balance. Why would she share her least favorite? It's because it challenges me, and the more I practice, the more I progress. I need this. We all need balance as we move throughout life. And balancing incorporates weight-bearing exercise. We are loading our muscles and our bones at the same time. But first, let's set a foundation of good posture. Good posture is one of the best ways to fully support the spine and improve its health. What does proper posture actually feel like? Well, as you've probably tried and felt, it's very active. So let's try it today. First, I want to point out that we all have unique posture. Our posture is informed by our life's experiences. We carry this neuromuscular memory in the body forever, and it takes a conscious effort and awareness and an intention to work with it that we can improve what we have in our physicality as our posture. So my posture is not perfect either. In fact, I have a tendency to, especially when I'm fatigued, kind of dump into my low back, round my shoulders forward, and end up in this not so healthy posture. So what I'd like to draw your attention to is the importance of, we'll practice with our feet, come with me. We'll practice with our feet hips distance, and hips are not way out here in your outer shoulders or outer hips, but more underneath the pelvis. So allowing the sit bones, which are the protrusions in the pelvis area that you actually sit on, to anchor towards the floor. So it may help to reach around your gluteal muscles, your buttocks muscles, and dig deeply into those buttocks and feel the protrusion of your pelvis in those sit bones so that you get a connection. This is what you feel when you sit, right? And you clear the flesh away. So these bones, we're going to drop a straight plumb line down to the floor. And what happens when we do that is that you can automatically feel yourself getting a little taller. At least I do. Of course, I've been working on this for a while, but this is where the awareness piece comes in. So work with me on this. We're feeling the foundation of our feet on the floor, hips distance apart. Feel the big toe mound, the pinky toe mound, and the heel mound all connected. You might even want to roll around on your feet a little bit. And then rather than locking your knees, feel yourself as though you're drawing energy up from the earth and hugging muscle to bone so that the quadriceps, the thigh muscles, become really active. Draw the sit bones down to the earth. I'm going to keep reminding you of this. And start to feel a knitting, a natural knitting of the ribs. So we're engaging and inviting the transverse abdominals, which are those deep corset muscles deep inside the torso that hold us stable. And this creates kind of a knitting sensation in the ribs. So we're not flaring the ribs out, but everything's drawing in. Likewise, we're not tucking the tailbone under and flattening out that natural curve. We want to still maintain somewhat of a natural lumbar curve, right? I know this is like golf. We're dealing with a lot of complexities here, but if we build from the ground up with awareness, it just reminds us what to come back to when we know we're out of alignment, right? So feet, good grounding, then muscle to bone in the thighs, dropping the sits bones, knitting the ribs, draw the shoulders up towards the ears, and then let them circle back and just slide down the back without squeezing the shoulder blades. Just let them rest on the back of your rib cage. Roll the palms forward so you've got an outer rotation in the shoulders to open the chest, still maintaining the sit bones towards the earth, still maintaining the knitted ribs, still breathing. Then let the chin come back towards the throat. This feels a little bit awkward, but we want to try to get ears, shoulders, hips, ankles, all in one nice, fairly straight line. And this is where you feel that connection with reaching through the crown of the head. Pause here, maybe close the eyes, and feel the connection with the earth, all of the working muscles and tiny bones in the feet just to hold us upright. Maybe even a little sensation in the lower legs and the shins. This is your tibia and the most weight-bearing bone in the body. So super important to keep the lower legs strong. Feeling the sit bones drop. Feeling the rib cage knit, the shoulders soft, but sliding down the back ribs. The chin into the throat. One last big inhale. And exhale. And come back with me, and then just kind of shake it off, release, and feel yourself just kind of re-arrive. So very active to come back into our proper alignment, but I find that using the sit bones as my focal point to draw towards the earth immediately starts to stack everything right along with it. So now we're going to shift into this idea of working with our balance. And I love to be able to incorporate balance work in my everyday life. So whether it's standing at the counter, washing my hands, preparing something for dinner, or even standing in the grocery line, right? You don't even have to be obvious. You can shift your weight to one foot or the other, and most people won't even notice. So we come into what we just came out of was mountain pose, actually, in the yoga practice, when we realign everything and become very active. And you can even break a sweat in mountain pose, by the way. Don't forget to breathe. But back to this idea of balancing. Always have something handy. So if you have a chair, if you have a wall, if you're near a counter, please feel free to go there. We're going to shift first back and forth. Remember, feet are underneath the hips. And let's take our weight over to our right foot. And again, reconnect with all of the pads in the feet. The ball of the big toe, the small toe, and the heel. Good. And you start to automatically feel there's a little less weight on this left foot. Now, regather. Sit bones go back to the earth. I don't know if you saw a shift in my body, but I certainly felt it. I have a tendency to kind of hang out in whatever hip I'm leaning toward, regather everything towards the midline. So squeeze the glutes if you want. It's fine. Drop the sit bones, re-knit the ribs, and then maybe you lift the heel away from the floor. Maybe you come up to one big toe. Hand can be out if that helps you, maybe on your hip if you want to give it something to do, whatever gives you a sense of balance. And then see if you can hover the foot away from the floor. Again, sit bones, ribs, chin. Feel that nice long length of the spine. Don't forget to breathe. Now from here, feel free. You can maybe kick the leg out to the front, maybe lift it, maybe lift the knee. Play with whatever feels comfortable, and then see if you can pause in whatever position you've chosen for 3 breaths. And when you're ready, come down and join me. Pause. Resist the temptation to shake it off. It's so important to allow the neuromuscular connection to create pathways of memory, right? The resonance of this work is still residing in my lower leg. That's where my weaknesses are. And then feel free to move. It's important in the yoga practice. This is where the awareness piece comes in. The brain loves to make comparisons, not out of judgment, but an opportunity to learn new ways, right? So let's come over to the left side and same, kind of regather, feel the balls and pads of the feet, shift the weight over, engage the glutes, drop that sit bone, knit the ribs, start to unweight into, see, I needed to reset up, pulling up from the ground. I can feel that. I felt myself immediately dumping into my hip, right? So regather first. Don't be in such a hurry, Susan. There we go. This is the challenge of teaching, is practicing what we teach. Squeezing the glute, lowering the sit bone, tucking the ribs, lengthening through the crown, and play. Be willing to explore, be willing to fall, safely, of course. Take your 3 breaths, don't forget to breathe. And then come back down and pause, maybe a smooth breath, just to feel that echo, that resonance of your work. Good. And so this same concept of gathering from the ground up will still apply even when you start to incorporate more traditional yoga poses like stork pose or tree pose. And I'd like to just simply say one thing about tree pose before we go today. And that is, as we set up, same as we did before, we unweight let's unweight the left leg and bring the heel though into the ankle. So the difference in this shape is that we are taking an external rotation on the hips as opposed to internal. And it starts to activate the gluteal muscles a little differently. You'll feel that, but the sit bones still go down towards the floor, which then starts to incorporate the transverse engagement that knits those ribs together. Now, when you start to play with your balance with tree pose, the foot can be maybe just barely off the floor. It can be on your shin, or you might even feel adventurous if you have the range and bring it all the way up to your inner thigh. Please, please, please don't put it on your knee. Your knee is a hinge joint meant to bend forward and back, not side to side, so it might make it a little cranky. And with that, take a moment. Place one hand on your lowest ribs, one on your chest. Still coming back to mountain pose. Let's realign that perfect posture. Not perfect posture, that beautiful natural posture. That strong posture that encourages that bone health that we all desire. Feel breath. Feel the resonance of your work. And send gratitude to the body for getting you here this far, getting you here today, and taking you out into the rest of your day and tomorrow. Thank you so much again for joining me. It was my pleasure and honor to work with you. I hope we will continue this journey of finding ways to incorporate bone strengthening throughout our normal lives, so we don't find any reason not to keep encouraging ourselves and each other. Be well.